What's happening, everybody? Hope everyone's having a good weekend. Whether you're enjoying college football or, I don't know, maybe still eating some Halloween candy, whatever the case may be. Hopefully, it's a good weekend. You already know what it is. It's week 9. It's another episode of Facemask Fantasy, and it is start, sit, help as we officially move through the halfway point of the NFL season, at least from amount of games played per team perspective. And the fantasy season in general, because you shouldn't be playing in week 18. That's just a bad idea. Go ahead and run through a few options here, or a few pieces of injury updates dating back to yesterday. Justin Fields has not officially been ruled out. He did practice on Friday, but we're not expecting to see him until maybe week 10. So that's a rough one for the Bears, having to go down to New Orleans tomorrow. Josh Downs is questionable. Keep an eye on that if you're considering him as a wide receiver 3. According to head coach Matt LaFleur, Aaron Jones is apparently ready to go, has no injury designation, is about as healthy as he's been since week 1. We'll see what that means. Aaron Jones has been underutilized and for disappointing from a fantasy perspective so far this year. So we'll see what happens there. Devontae Parker ruled out. Amari DeMercado ruled out. I guess Demario Douglas, is like a wide receiver 4, but hopefully you have other options other than that. And then as for DeMercado, I guess Keontae Ingram is gonna draw the start. They also have Tony Jones Jr. Maybe they promote somebody from the practice squad. Against the Browns, I would be avoiding that situation at all costs. It could get ugly. It could get ugly for the Cardinals offense tomorrow. Clayton Tune is going to start for them at quarterback. They don't really have a viable option at running back. Michael Wilson is looking iffy for this game. So I guess Hollywood Brown is going to get peppered with as many targets as he can handle, but I don't know that I trust him tomorrow, despite game script being in his favor. It's a rookie quarterback against a really good defense on the road. Dire straits for the Cardinals. Not that you weren't feeling great about DeMercado, but him being out, I don't feel good about Keontae Ingram in that spot at all. So good luck to him. Dameon Pierce is officially ruled out, so it will be the Devin Singletary show for the Houston Texans against Tampa Bay. I like him as a stream tomorrow quite a bit. If you're hampered by injury, or if you've got a lot of guys on IR or on bye, there are a decent number of bye weeks this week, and then of course just the injuries continue to pile up. So Devin Singletary is a decent flex play. You can fire him up with some confidence. It's not a great matchup tomorrow against Tampa Bay, but they should be fine. Houston at home, they should be okay. So Singletary is fine to fire up as an emergency option. Robert Woods is out once again for the Houston Texans. Speaking of Houston, so Nico Collins, Tank Dell, you would think handle most of the opportunities at wide receiver. Dalton Schultz might get a few extra looks as well. Both of the Seahawks regular starting receivers have been removed from the injury report, Metcalf and Lockett. So while Smith and Jigba appears to be coming on strong, he scored a touchdown last week. It's hard to have a ton of confidence about him. If he does well this week on the road against a tough Ravens defense, if Smith and Jigba delivers with a healthy Lockett, with a healthy Metcalf, then starting next week is going to probably be when we have to seriously consider finding out ways to get Jackson Smith and Jigba into your starting lineup, but I would hold off one more week given the difficult matchup. Gus Edwards is not on the injury report. Not necessarily an easy matchup. Seattle is much improved in their run defense than they were a season ago. That being said, they're at home. He's a fine flex play if you need him. Josh Palmer is out. Doesn't instill that much confidence in Quentin Johnston as a flyer. We just have not seen very much of anything from him this year. And then with the Rams, they elevated Dresser Wynn. That's a new name off of the practice squad to the active roster. Doesn't seem to bode well for Matthew Stafford's chances of playing tomorrow, but he is a gamer, and we will likely take this all the way up to kickoff with Matthew Stafford. So just prepare to have backup options ready to go. Luckily, it is in the 1 p.m. slate. So if you want to move off of Puka, who's dealing with a knee injury of his own, we will know 90 minutes to kick off whether Stafford or Puka are able to actually give it a go. I would err on the side of caution with both. In some situations, you may not have a better option than Puka, and if he's healthy, you might just have to fire him up. But dealing with the knee injury, with Stafford dealing with the injury, and it's a true 50-50 whether he actually plays, have those backup options ready to go. You maybe weren't relying on Stafford outside of SuperFlex leagues, but you were likely relying on Puka in at least leagues that start 3 wide receivers, so be prepared to pivot off of him tomorrow if Stafford can't go, especially when you consider the knee injury. He practiced this week, but with Stafford's injury, it's not super comfortable. Earlier today, Darren Waller and Tyrod Taylor, for what it's worth, were placed on IR by the Giants, so Darren Waller will miss the next 4 games. Big loss for Daniel Jones, who has been playing poorly this year anyway. Jones is not on the streaming radar, even in 1 quarterback leagues, if your quarterback is either injured or on bye. Not a great situation for the New York Giants. When is their bye? I think they have a late bye week, right? Are they week is that a week 14 bye for them or a week 13 bye for them? It's a week 13 bye for them. So not only will Waller miss the next 4 games, he's going to be out a total of 5 weeks because the bye week comes right after that. So Waller will miss week 9, 10, 11, and 12, and then has to miss week 13 as well because there's no game to be played for the Giants. If you play in shallow leagues, 10 or 12 team leagues, and you need the roster spot, you need a tight end, you can drop Darren Waller. You can look to try to pick him back up. Of course, if you don't have an IR spot or if your IR spots are all filled, Waller can be dropped. Obviously, if you have an IR spot, an open IR spot, you can put him in there. But if you don't and you need the roster spot, he's not going to be available for the next 5 weeks, including the bye weeks. So if you need the roster spot, it's certainly a possibility. Okay, that takes care of a quick injury roundup. Drake London is also ruled out for the Falcons, so I'm sure Arthur Smith will do everything he can to get Van Jefferson involved instead of Kyle Pitts. So, continue to fade all Falcons other than, I guess, Bijan Robinson. Just had to throw that out there as well. Okay. I think that's pretty much takes care of the injury wrap up, so we can go ahead and get into it. And I see that there are questions popping up, so let's go ahead and knock things out. Greg, Crumbly Heads, what's going on, guys? Happy Saturday. Let's get these dubs tomorrow. I will not be live for the typical Sunday live stream tomorrow. Free that spot up for the Germany game. I'm sure everybody wants to watch Dolphins Chiefs. Should be a good one. If you need any final thoughts or advice tomorrow morning, I will be available in Discord through the London game. It's not a London game. It's a Germany game this time. Through the Germany game. If you need me, second link in the description of this live stream. If you are not already a part of the Discord, I will be available there in lieu of a stream for the Germany game. All right. I did pin a message just so that everyone is aware. So, just a reminder whether you are new or you've been here before, I will get to the members first. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. And then I will get to everybody else as I see other questions popping up. So, let me hit my members and then I will move my way back to the top. All right, let me see. So, Greg, you need two receive. I mean, I would start. Yeah, you start Garrett Wilson. You start Amari Cooper. I don't think I feel too much. I would go. I would probably go. You have to go Walker, and then I would probably go Henderson and Hunt. I know Hubbard. Hubbard was named the starter by the Carolina Panthers, or he's going to start moving forward. Miles Sanders is the backup. The problem with Chuba Hubbard is he himself is not that good. So sure, he could come through with volume, but he got volume last week and did nothing with it. Who's Carolina playing this week? The Colts. It's not an awful matchup, but it is an awful team and a very mid running back in Chuba Hubbard. So I'm not necessarily feeling him. I would go Hunt against Arizona. That's a very favorable matchup. I would go Henderson against Green Bay. That's a very favorable matchup. And I would go, you have to go Walker even in the bad matchup because it's Walker. You have to. And then I would go your top two options at receiver. I would go Wilson and I would go Amari Cooper, who does get Deshaun Watson back. The Jets get Mike and hard on who the Jets get right now. The Chargers. That's right. Monday Night Football. That's right. They're on Monday night. Yeah. So Walker, Henderson, Hunt, and then Wilson and Cooper. That's where I would go. Should you drop Sutton for Wandale? No. Well, if you can drop Waller and you have McBride, then yeah, drop Waller for Wandale if you want to. But I would hang on to Sutton. He's been decent enough this season, so I would want to hang on to Sutton. So you can do that. Mostert, Mixon, Downs, Cooper, Lockett, Nebo, Chuba, pick 4. Are they like 4 flex spots? I mean, Mostert, Mixon, those have to be in there. Cooper has to be in there. He gets Deshaun Watson back. I don't think I would play Hollywood. I don't like the spot that he's in tomorrow. I mean, game script is in his favor. They will be throwing because they have to, but like how much confidence do we have in Clayton Tune? You know? Between Nico and Lockett, I'm not considering Downs here, Crumply Heads. He's on the injury report. He's questionable tomorrow. Just don't know how healthy he is. I would probably go Nico. It's a tough spot for Lockett on the road against Baltimore. Nico's at home, so at least I think the circumstances are a little more favorable. And Stroud has been playing pretty good, whereas Geno has to play the Baltimore Ravens on the road. That's a tough spot. I would go Mostert in Germany tomorrow. I would go Mixon. I would go Cooper, and I would go Nico. I don't trust Chuba, man. I know he's the guy now. He's the starter. He turned 15 carries into 28 yards last week. Like, whatever. If Chuba goes off tomorrow, then good for Chuba, but it won't be coming on the heels of me suggesting him firing up into your lineup unless you are at the it's bare bones other options, you know. But you don't have bare bones other options. You have good other options to work with. Mostert, Mixon, Cooper, Nico. That's where I would go. Yeah. Tough to fire up Hollywood tomorrow. Not with on the road against Cleveland with a rookie quarterback. No thanks. No thanks. I'll pass. And yeah, Greg, Garrett Wilson, Amari Cooper, Henderson, Hunt, Walker. I'm not going Chuba again. I'm not going Chuba. If I have good other options, even good other options in bad matchups, I'm taking the good option in a bad matchup. Walker should be fine, despite being on the road against Baltimore. All right, back to the top. Start one running back and one flex. Keontae Ingram, Charbonnet, Singletary. Singletary if you get him. Singletary if you get him. I guess, oh God. I guess Charbonnet if you don't get him. So hopefully you get Singletary. As far as your flex, like I guess Wandale's a little more enticing without Darren Waller. Mingo is, tough to trust. Mingo's tough to trust. Wandale could be a decent PPR option. I guess Shakir could be an interesting option, but I don't know if I like him more than Wandale just from a volume perspective. Ferguson gets the Eagles. It's a potentially good matchup. I just don't know if I want to put a tight end in my flex. I would probably go Wandale here and hope for the best. With no Waller, he should see a few extra looks. And at least I don't know how much of a positive piece of news it is that Daniel Jones is going to play, but he is the starter for whatever it's worth. I would probably go Wandale and just hope for the best with Daniel Jones back. So Wandale should see some increased volume without Darren Waller in the mix. I guess that's where I would go. And then for your running back, Singletary if you can get him, and then Charbonnet if you don't. I don't want to play Keontae Ingram. I don't want to play Keontae Ingram in a good matchup, and he has about as bad a matchup as it gets. So I'll say Singletary if you get him. Fingers crossed you get him, and Charbonnet as your running back. And no, Crumbly Heads, I would not start Wandale over any of those guys. No. Play your better options. Okay, let's see. Who would I start out of? Devontae plays the Cowboys. Amari plays the Cardinals. T. Higgins plays the... Is this a start 1 or a start 2? Devontae Smith, Amari Cooper, T. Higgins. Is this start 1 or start 2? And is it full PPR? If it's start 1, I like the matchup for Amari Cooper at home against Arizona. And with Deshaun Watson back, I feel, apparently Watson is ready to go. He's healthy. The shoulder is feeling better. If it's start 1, it's Amari Cooper. If it's start 2, I would say your floor play is Devontae Smith and your ceiling play is T. Higgins. Higgins hasn't been himself this year, but this is a potential shootout against the Bills. And if you believe that he's getting healthier each week after a fractured rib, which in theory he should be, but a rib is that's a real pain tolerance problem that he might still be dealing with for 1 or 2 more weeks. But it looks like the Bengals are starting to round into form. At least the Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase connection has been strong. You're hoping with Higgins it continues to trickle down to the entire offense. Cooper if it's start 1, and then I would say safe play is Devontae Smith, ceiling play is T. Higgins. All right, 14 team, full PPR. pick up Watson or Jones, Watson. Watson. I mean, look, Watson comes with his warts and he hasn't been that good this year, but outside of that Arizona game, Daniel Jones has been awful. He has been atrociously bad, and he just lost Darren Waller for the next month. I mean, Daniel Jones has been, even in leagues where he scores like, even in a league where he has like 6-point passing touchdowns, he's under 10 fantasy points scored in every game but one. He had that huge blow up against Arizona. Arizona is terrible. Outside of that Arizona game, Daniel Jones hasn't thrown a touchdown. Actually, he hasn't accounted for a touchdown. Outside of that Arizona game, week 2, Daniel Jones has not accounted for a touchdown this year, throwing or running. He has been awful. He has been so bad. He's been worse than Deshaun Watson. I know he's missed a couple of games, but I mean, good God. Week 1, week 3, week 4, week 5, those are games that he played in totality. He did not account for a touchdown in those games. He's got 3 touchdowns on the season, and they all came in the same game. He's been bad. I think in general, he is bad. At least with Watson, there's a little bit more hope. He's healthy now, and he has his full complement of weapons. I know that the Browns traded Donovan Peoples-Jones, but that is not as significant of a loss to the offense as Darren Waller is for the Giants offense. Watson for sure. And he's past his bye week. Daniel Jones is not past his bye week. Watson is past his bye week and could conceivably be fired up rest of season. Conceivably. Daniel Jones still has his bye week ahead of him. And several weeks where you probably don't want to start him. On the road against Dallas next week. At home against New England, week 12. On the road against New Orleans, week 15. On the road against Philly, week 16. Like, forget it. Forget it. Daniel Jones is sunk. I would not. I would not. Yeah, no downs, Greg. And Nico over Amari, no, absolutely not. Not close for me. And I just wouldn't play Hubbard. Hunt is even older. Hunt is better than Chuba Hubbard. Kareem Hunt, like a close to being washed Kareem Hunt, is better than Chuba Hubbard. And I would not play Nico over Amari Cooper or Garrett Wilson. No. I would use all the guys that I mentioned. Still, knowing you have Nico, I would still play all the guys that you mentioned previously. Cooper, Wilson, Henderson, Hunt, Walker. All right. Let's see. Where are we at? Gerald Everett or Njoku. Everett is Monday night against the Jets. Njoku is against the Cardinals. Cardinals, and was removed from the injury report. I would go Njoku. He's got his quarterback back. He's got Deshaun Watson back. So, and even if Watson kind of eases his way into things this week, maybe he takes it easy. From a perspective of he's not overextending on plays. He's protecting himself in his first presumably healthy game back. Short, quick throws, get the ball out. That would be to the tight end. That includes Njoku. I would fire up Njoku. Everett's been inconsistent this year. The Jets still have a pretty good defense. The Cardinals don't. I would play Njoku. Who gets his quarterback back. Yeah, Njoku over Everett. Is Wan'Dale worth rostering? He's got flex appeal. The problem is the Giants' offense just like leaves very little to be desired. You're not dropping Pickens. I know he had a bad game on Thursday night. He only caught one ball. He should have had a touchdown. He forgot to drag his foot. So that's on Pickens. But the opportunity where for a decent usable day was there. It just didn't happen. Um, I would not pick up Wandale over those two guys. Dotson has been incredibly frustrating, but he's come on strong. He had a good game last week. Curtis Samuel is out, so you figure he's got an opportunity to keep it going against New England tomorrow. So, no, I would not pick up Wandale over those two guys. I would not pick up Wandale over Dotson or Pickens. I would let it ride for one more week, especially with Pickens. I mean, he's too talented to drop. I know that Deontay's back. Um, the Steelers' offense is very average at best. They're not that good. I get all that, but Pickens is too talented to drop for a guy like Wandale Robinson. You got to ride the wave. Got to ride the wave. Okay, trade question. Should you trade Jacobs and Kirk for Swift and Devontae Smith? You have Amon-Ra, you have Cup, you'd be adding Devontae Smith to that. You have Walker, Kamara, and Kelsey. You'd be adding Swift to Walker, Kamara, and Kelsey. I don't hate this. You're putting your eggs into the Eagles basket, which is not terrible. And while Jacobs is a better player than DeAndre Swift, he's not in a better situation than DeAndre Swift. Kirk has been better than Devontae Smith from a consistency perspective this year. But I think it's fair to say Devontae Smith is still like the more naturally talented player. It's close. I think because you're getting the running back upgrade, not the talent, but the situation. Jacobs is the better individual talent, but DeAndre Swift is far and away in the much better situation. The only issue with DeAndre Swift is his touchdown upside is very little. When they get on the goal line or in short yardage situations, the ball is going to stay in Jalen Hurts' hands. They're going to tush push it, and Hurts is going to keep it. And Swift is not going to benefit from that at all. They're also putting Kenny Gainwell in goal line situations as well. So Swift's touchdown upside is low, but you don't have to worry about a bad situation with him with the Eagles offense in a way that you have to worry about Jacobs with the Raiders offense. I think I'm okay with it. I think I'm okay with the trade. I would just caution, I would say Jacobs is the best individual player in this trade. He's the best individual player. You're giving up the best individual player, but his situation is not as good as DeAndre Swift. So I can understand the interest in wanting to make the move. Okay, we got a defense question. Chargers or Chargers or Packers. Um, I don't love either one, but I guess I would play the Packers. Are the like are the Raiders available? Are the Giants available? For all the I don't like the Giants because of their offense, but their defense isn't bad, and their defense has been generating sacks, and they're playing a rookie quarterback tomorrow. Like, I will tell you right now, if the Raiders are available, and I'd be willing to bet that they are, I don't mind that. Like, no Darren Waller for the Giants. The Giants' offense has not been good. Um, I would take either defense in that game over the Packers or the Chargers. But if you have to pick one of those two, I guess I would go the Chargers playing Zach Wilson. If Stafford is out and Puka is out and you want to fire up the Packers, that's fine. But we obviously have to wait to see if that happens. If Stafford plays, I'm not as enthusiastic about Green Bay. I'll be honest, I kind of like the defenses in that both defenses as streaming options in that Raiders Giants game. Um, the Giants have been putting up some decent fantasy numbers on defense over the past few weeks. Against a rookie quarterback, I would think they do okay. They get an opportunity for some sacks tomorrow. And you could say the same thing about the Raiders, to be honest. The Giants' offense is pretty inept. And the Raiders, from the Raiders' perspective, I mean, they may feel like they have new life with the coaching changes that took place this week. Everyone's very happy about Antonio Pierce and the vibes that he's giving off. So there could be some newfound life in the Raiders. I'll tell you right now, if the Raiders and Giants defenses are available, I like both of those more than the Chargers or the Packers. But if you don't want to play either one of those two, I would play the Packers if Matthew Stafford is ruled out, and I would play the Chargers if Matthew Stafford is active. But I like the Raiders as a stream this week, and I like the Giants defense as a stream this week. I like both. I like both defenses in that game as a stream this week. Steven, appreciate the super, man. Thank you so much. Very kind. I know that's a regular thing each week from you, and while it's not necessary, but it's very much appreciated. Um, would I play Downs if he plays? I don't love the spot that he's in with the knee injury. It feels kind of dicey. Feels very risky with him. Um, if I have an option like a Demario Douglas, I think I like that more than I like Downs. There's upside in Douglas playing or in Douglas against Washington. Nothing scary about that matchup. Without Devontae Parker, without Kendrick Bourne, there's newfound opportunities in the Patriots pecking order. So I'm okay with that. As far as Dell, he's not a bad option either. It was his first game back last week, so a quiet game was to be expected. I would probably wait one more week on Tank Dell. Let's see how he bounces back from a minor absence. And it was a quiet first week back for him last week, so I don't know that I can necessarily endorse him. Downs is tough to trust with the knee injury. Currently listed as questionable. He practiced in a limited fashion on Friday. We'll see if we get any type, Steven, of any type of vibes one way or the other about Josh Downs tomorrow, whether it's from a pregame report or if he's removed from the injury report and the vibes feel good. Maybe it's just then kind of like a grin and bear it situation with Downs. Obviously he has been productive over the past month. He's been quite good. And he's been better with Minshew than he was with Anthony Richardson. He was probably still finding his way with in the offense while Richardson was still the starter early in the season as a rookie. I'll say this, Steve. If Downs is removed from the injury report and like if there's any vibes that he's not going to have any limitations and maybe these were all just like precautionary moves. My dog's playing with his toys. If these were just precautionary moves like in practice this week to just get him some rest, if we're getting any type of positive vibe after he's if he's ruled in, if he's active, he's removed from the injury report and there's no concerns about limitations or anything like that, um, then I guess I would say fire up Downs and hope for the best. But if there's any like negative, like if he's going to be on a pitch count, if there are any rumors about that or not rumors, but if the coach speak or vibes or that Downs could be on a pitch count, I would probably pivot to Demario Douglas. But I think ultimately, like taking a second look at the production and he did practice in a limited manner on Friday, so that is a decent sign for his availability. Um, Douglas is an interesting sleeper, but I think Downs has done enough over the past month to earn the spot as long as he's ruled in, as long as he's active. So I guess given Demario Douglas or Tank Dell, if those are your best options, as opposed to a pivot off of Josh Downs, if Downs is active and there's nothing indicating a pitch count of any kind, I guess I would just play Downs and keep it moving, hope for the best. If there's any indication that he could be on a pitch count because of the knee injury, he's been limited in practice, all that stuff. Then I might pivot. But if we're not getting indications that there's going to be a pitch count of any kind and that he's going to be okay, and he's removed from the injury report, then I'll play Downs. If Downs is out, if he can't go, I would take the upside into Mario Douglas. There's lots of opportunities for the Patriots. I think he led the team in routes run last week. No Kendrick Bourne anymore. Devontae Parker's out with a concussion. So Douglas would be my move if Downs can't play. Or if there's any indication that he will play, but that he'll be on a snap count. If there's no concern of a snap count and he's ruled in, then I guess I would go Downs. Yeah, I'll ultimately play the guy who's been playing well over the past month. And he's been playing well with Minshew as his quarterback. Appreciate the super, Steven. Thank you so much. Very kind of you. And Greg, sorry if you missed it. Don't put Nico, and absolutely not. Keontae Ingram is not in consideration. You're only considering him if you haven't watched him play. Like, the dude is not good. No, we're not playing Keontae Ingram in any scenario. If it's between Keontae Ingram and leaving the spot in your roster open, leave the spot open. Ingram, he's not good. It's a bad matchup. Rookie quarterback on the road, no shot. No, you're playing Hunt, you're playing Amari Cooper over Nico. No changes. No changes whatsoever. And I would go ahead and say no other players on waivers are in consideration here either. I think you've got your guys for tomorrow. Wilson, Cooper, Hunt, Henderson, Walker. Lock it in. No changes. Do I like any of those other defenses other than the Bills? Probably. Probably. They're playing yeah. From a safety perspective, I like the Raiders more than I like the Bills defense. The Bills have a juggernaut in the Bengals to have to go up against, and they're on the road. The Raiders are at home. So yes, I like the Raiders defense more than the Bills tomorrow. For the season, no, but for tomorrow, yeah, I prefer the Raiders to the Bills. The Bills got to figure out a way to slow down Joe Burrow at home. The Raiders have to figure out how to slow down Daniel Jones at home. I think that about spells it out. Yeah. The Bills are fine tomorrow, but there are other better streams. Okay, I'm coming back up to the top. Let me see. You're 4-4. You have Kupp and Puka. Would I trade Puka for Thielen? Yeah, I would. Puka's been a baller. He looks great, but Thielen is a probably wide receiver 1 rest of season. Just he's the apple of Bryce Young's eye right now, mostly because there's not really anything to work with in the Panthers pecking order in their depth chart. I would say Thielen is a better rest of season guy to have than Puka. Puka lost uh Puka lost some consistency with the return of Cooper Cup. The Rams are not they're a little bit difficult to predict. They're not as automatic, it feels like, ever since Cup came back. They've been inconsistent. Um, and now Stafford is hurt. Stafford's dealing with a thumb injury. Puka's dealing with a knee injury himself. Yes, I would. I would trade Puka for if I had Puka for Thielen offered to me where I was getting Thielen, I would do that. I would. I would do that. I think Thielen is much safer rest of season than Puka is. I think, yeah, Thielen is a better rest of season guy than Puka. Let's see. This is a team advice question. Bobby, what's the question? I don't see a question. I don't see the question. Is it like how can you improve? Um, you need a wide receiver. You need a wide receiver. I'd be dangling. You either sit and wait and hope that Aaron Jones can get right and try to sell high on him, or you could try to sell high on Rashad White. Now, I mean, you need a wide receiver. Those guys are a little tough to trust rest of season, like top to bottom. So go find somebody in your league that is running back deficient, but has a couple of good wide receivers and see if they would take one of your running backs for one of their wide receivers. I mean, that's what I would do. Yeah, you need a wide receiver. You have good running back depth. I would take one of those running backs. Go to a team that needs a running back. You just got to scour the depth charts. You kind of just go team by team, check who needs a running back, but also who has some good wide receivers and strike up a conversation with them. See what you can work out. And then real quick, Greg, I do like Schultz. I think I like Schultz again, uh I'm not playing Arizona Cardinals this week. Yeah, I mean, raise your hand if you want to play an Arizona Cardinal with a rookie quarterback on the road against the best defense in the NFL. I'm going to assume the answer is that now that you put it that way, I don't really want to do that. That includes Hollywood Brown. All Cardinals need to be on your bench. No, I would play Schultz. I would play Dalton Schultz. I think he's your best option of those guys. Stroud is playing well. Robert Woods is out. It's not a great matchup against Tampa, but of those options, I would say he's your safest stream. At least they're playing at home. I would play Schultz over um I would play Schultz over Taysom Hill. And I would play ultimately the Raiders, Crumply Heads. The Raiders defense is a top 5 stream this week. They're playing an abysmal New York Giants team who just lost their best playmaker their second best playmaker on offense in Darren Waller. Daniel Jones comes back. That might be a good thing for the opposing defenses considering he stinks. The Raiders. The Raiders are a top 3 stream at defense this week. And you would think that they have but every indication is they have new life in that locker room right now ever since they fired Josh McDaniels. So, like, there could be some extra motivation coming out of the Raiders this week. I like them as a stream. The only defenses you are definitively playing over the Raiders this week for me, honestly, the only defense for me that is definitive, I guess, are like the Browns and maybe the Patriots who are playing the Commanders, even though the Commanders didn't allow, I think, more than one sack last week. So honestly, Browns are the top defense this week. And then I would say the Raiders are right up there. I would say the Raiders are right up there. And I think the Giants are up there too. I just like them a little bit less because they're the road team, not the home team. Yeah, I think the Raiders are a good stream this week on defense. Okay, where am I at? Pollard or James Cook? Yeah, I mean, how the mighty have fallen with Tony Pollard. Is there any PPR scoring? Oh, it's full PPR. So that boosts Cook a little bit in a potential shootout against the Bengals. I think you have to go back to the well with Tony Pollard. And maybe I'm just a stickler, like a sucker, stickler, whatever you want to call it, for the guys that you drafted higher. Like Tony Pollard was a high draft pick for you. He was a second round pick, right? And I know that we've reached the point in the season where you kind of have to take ADPs like out the window. It's just a matter of like vibes and who's playing better than who and all that. Um, I have to imagine the Cowboys get Tony Pollard involved as a receiver tomorrow against the Eagles linebackers. Um, this is a huge game for both teams. It's a huge game for Bills Bengals, make no mistake. But um, if the Cowboys want to keep the NFC East race close tomorrow, they have to win. They have to utilize their best players. That includes Tony Pollard. I would think he gets utilized as a receiver tomorrow against the Eagles linebackers. I think you have to go back to the well with Tony Pollard one more time. But if he stinks up the joint again, then James Cook enters the conversation as a viable alternative to him next week. But I think you got to play Pollard this week. I think you got to play Pollard. It's been rough. It's been pulling teeth with Tony Pollard. He has not met expectations this year. It's do or die time. It's put up or shut up time. I think you need to utilize him one more week this week. Let's see. You have Hill starting, but Charbonnet is on waivers. I mean, I guess it's close. None of these guys are all dart throws. I guess I would play Charbonnet. That's where I would go. He's the most talented guy here. He's the most talented player here. I think Gus Edwards took the Ravens job, or the majority of the Ravens opportunities. I would prefer Charbonnet. I can't play Akers yet. It's a full-blown it's a full-blown committee. I mean, and it's Jaren Hall for the Vikings. Akers got the touchdown last week. I just don't know what that backfield breakdown is going to look like. I guess it's a softer matchup for Akers than it is for Charbonnet. And I'm not playing Keontae Ingram. I'm not playing Cardinals in any capacity. Unless it was like, do I play Hollywood Brown or Keontae Ingram? Then it's like, all right, I guess play Hollywood. Akers is tough to trust. I don't know how involved Alexander Madison is going to be. He could be more involved. I think he has been more involved than Akers, even though Akers scored last week. Madison still got 17 touches. I think Akers only got like 10 or 12. So it's like you're relying on like a touchdown. You're relying on him to come through on a touchdown. Like Akers totaled 25 yards last week. It's just he came through because he scored. I think I would go Charbonnet and just hope for the best. He's been getting more involved. 5 carries, 7 total touches last week, 65 total yards in a tough matchup too against the Browns. So, I mean, I think that's where I would go. I would go Charbonnet and just hope for the best. I would go Charbonnet and hope for the best. If you have to start Roshan as well, then I maybe might fire up Akers over Roshan. It's a bad matchup against the Saints. If this is the bare bones that we're down to, I guess I would play Charbonnet and Akers. I don't trust Hill, and I don't trust Roshan on the road against the Saints tomorrow. I don't. Not with a rookie quarterback. I guess I would play Charbonnet and Akers. I think I would. Those are the two guys that I would switch to. Hey, Nate, welcome to the family, bro. Congrats on being a member. Appreciate you joining. Appreciate the support of the channel. That's much appreciated. Welcome to that's the fast pass version of this channel where you get to jump the line a little bit and get questions answered a little bit sooner. So, welcome aboard, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for the support. Let me just double check through and see that I didn't miss anything. Okay, you got the let me see. It's the question, it's the tight end question. Okay, I got you. I see it. Who is the highest floor between Hunter Henry, Luke Musgrave, Cade Otton, or Tyler Higbee? Probably not Higbee, especially if Stafford doesn't play. It could be Hunter Henry. No Kendrick Bourne, no Devontae Parker. So target's got to go somewhere. The Packers have the Rams at home. So that's actually not a bad spot for Musgrave. Ultimately, I think I would say Henry has the highest floor just because of the opportunity that he has. Down two starting wide receivers. Kendrick Bourne is lost for the season. He's not coming back. Devontae Parker is out with a concussion. It's been kind of gross for Hunter Henry of late, the past few weeks. He got a little bit more involved again last week with 3 catches for 28 yards. It's not spectacular, but Washington's giving up decent tight end production recently. More opportunities have been freed up for Hunter Henry because of the injuries. He probably has the highest floor. If you wanted upside, that might be Musgrave, but Musgrave has been quiet recently as well. Musgrave's been quiet as well. It's a good matchup for him tomorrow. The Rams are giving up lots of production to tight ends on the season. Washington is giving up a lot of production to tight ends recently. They started out strong and they've kind of petered off. I would say because of the injuries to the Patriots wide receiver core, I'll say Henry. Also, the Packers look like a broken offense right now, so it's a little tougher to trust Musgrave. I'll say Hunter Henry. I'll say Hunter Henry, Nate. I'll say Henry has the highest floor. Otton, no. Higbee, no. Higbee's really fallen off, and if he doesn't have Stafford tomorrow, then forget it. And honestly, even with the thumb injury, even if he does play, it's hard to trust him. And I would say Musgrave, maybe Musgrave has a higher ceiling over time as like an athletic rookie, but right now that Packers offense is very difficult to trust top to bottom. I'll say Henry has the highest floor. And I don't mind the plan to pivot to the Chargers if you feel like you need them. I do think they have more upside than the Bills this week. Just playing the Jets. And yes, I would play the Raiders. I would play the Raiders over the Cowboys tomorrow as well. Maybe the Cowboys get up for this game against the Eagles and they play well, but for all of the issues that the Eagles seemingly have, they're still scoring points. They're playing well. They're at home. I would definitely play the Raiders over the Cowboys tomorrow. Let's see. Steven sent me another super. Thank you so much, man. That's you're too kind, bro. Um, why do I like the Giants over the Chargers? It's Aiden O'Connell. Um, they are playing a quarterback making his second career start. The Raiders went through some upheaval this week. Now, the vibes seem to be positive. I think everyone seems to be happy that Josh McDaniels has been fired. Everybody's raving about Antonio Pierce and his midweek press conference. So there could be some extra fire from the Raiders this week, which could hurt the Giants. But it's still a team that has gone through a midseason upheaval or uprooting, upheaval. Is that a word? You get what I'm saying, hopefully. It's still a team. It's still a Raiders team that is going through some turmoil. They aren't a good team right now. Maybe this shocks some life into them a little bit, the coaching firing, but also they've had to prepare on a short week. Remember, this happened on Monday night. The Raiders played on Monday night this past week, and then the firing happened. So, it's just a short turnaround for all of the good vibes around Antonio Pierce right now. And every indication is the Raiders are ready to run through a wall for him, right? It's like everybody's super hype about the Raiders now because the Raiders have new life. They fired Josh McDaniels. They brought in a guy who seems like he's connecting with the players in Antonio Pierce. That's all well and good. That's great. There could be an X factor there. There could be an intangible there, but this is still a very mid, not good Raiders team going through a significant changes on a short week, starting a rookie quarterback. And the Giants have been okay on defense this year. They had 4 sacks last week and 6 sacks the week before that. I got to think they can get to Aiden O'Connell 3 or 4 times tomorrow. I got to think the Giants can get to, for all of the recent good vibes about the Raiders over the past couple days, because they fired a boob of a head coach. It's still a team that is going through some midweek turmoil. Turmoil. They got to change everything. Everything is going to be a little different, and it's different for the better. But it's a short time to that's a short time to turn things around. It's not a ton of time. So the Giants defense still get to play a rookie quarterback tomorrow. There hasn't been a ton of chemistry with the Raiders this year on offense. They haven't been playing well, and the Giants have 10 sacks in their past 2 games. They have at least 2 sacks, the Giants do, in 4 of their past 6 games. And against the vaunted Dolphins, not that anybody was ever, I certainly wasn't suggesting start the Giants the week they were playing the Miami Dolphins in Miami, but they got a defensive score that game. So, crazier things have happened. So yeah, I think the Giants are a good option tomorrow. The Falcons are fine, Steven, as a also potential option. They're playing Jaron Hall, but they lost Grady Jarrett. They lost the reason their defensive line has been stout, why they've been good against the run. They lost their best player. They lost Grady Jarrett. And last week, they got exposed by an average Tennessee. Will Levis making his first career start, tossed 4 touchdowns. So, yes, the Falcons are at home. They play better at home. Every team plays better at home. They're playing Jaron Hall. So it's a very similar situation. They're at home. The Giants are on. They feel a little bit better about a home team, but they lost their best player on defense in Grady Jarrett. So the Vikings are probably a very gettable matchup. If you want to play the Falcons, that's fine. I would say they're a top half play this week. I would say they're a top 12 to 15 option as far as a team defense this week. But they let Will Levis light them up in his first career game. So I feel a little bit more confident about the Giants. I feel good about the Giants. I honestly feel probably a little bit better about the Raiders defense as well, just because they're at home, but I like both defenses in that matchup tomorrow. I like both defenses. The only team or the only defense I'll tell you right now that I am definitively starting over either the Giants or the Raiders tomorrow is the Browns, because they get Arizona at home. And that's a shoe-in no matter what. I like the Patriots as well. They're at home against Washington. But they lost. I mean, they lost Matthew Judon a few weeks ago. They lost Christian Gonzalez. Like, they're missing key pieces on defense. So I like the matchup. I like the spot, but I don't love it as much. I think the Raiders and the Giants, both teams in that game, they're playing each other. I think both are solid. I think both are solid. And that's why I like the Giants a little bit more. They've picked up 10 sacks the past couple of games. They have at least 2 sacks in 4 of their past 6 games. Um, they haven't forced a ton of turnovers, but well, they've got, actually in 3 of their past 4 games, they forced at least 2 turnovers. They're not bad on defense. Yes, they traded away Leonard Williams, but I mean, he's not an impact player at this stage of his career the way Grady Jarrett was for the Falcons. So I like both defenses in that game tomorrow. Hopefully that helps. I would put the Giants in my top 4, honestly, along with the Raiders, believe it or not. And again, this is not like a testament to how good these defenses are. It's a testament to how bad I expect these offenses to be. And I would put the Falcons outside the top 10, to be honest. I want to play I still want to play like the Colts are playing the Panthers. I'd rather play the Colts. The Vikings are you talk about the Falcons. I think I'd rather play the Falcons are down Drake London, and Arthur Smith is still their head coach. So I think it's fair to expect a decent amount of ineptitude on the Atlanta offense. So I think I like the Vikings. I like the Ravens tomorrow. The Seahawks are a good team, but it's a West Coast team traveling east for an early game. So I like the Ravens in that spot. I like the Chargers against the Jets. I like the Saints against the Bears. There's a lot of defenses I like more than the Falcons. There's a lot of defenses I like more than the Falcons, especially after they lost Grady Jarrett. So hopefully that helps. Appreciate the super once again, Steven. Very kind of you, man. And of course, let me know if you have anything else. Let's see. Nate, I don't know what the Stafford Cup is in reaction to him. Maybe I missed something. Sorry if I missed anything. No, Greg. Carr over all those guys. He's playing the Bears. He hasn't been very good this year, but he should be fine at home against a bad Bears defense. I know they just traded for Montez Sweat. That's cool. That doesn't change anything for me. Carr at home, throwing the ball to Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed and Michael Thomas. I feel better about that than those guys, than those other guys. Okay. I got through a couple member questions. I got through the super. Appreciate everybody's patience. Again, I do get members and supers. They do jump the line, but I will get to everybody eventually. So appreciate everybody's patience in advance. Where did I leave off? I think it was Armando's question. Yeah. Charbonnet and Akers. We're at Joe's question. You have Dotson, Palmer. Palmer's out, so he's not an option for this week. Who would I play at wide receiver 2 and wide receiver 3? And you have to drop one for a kicker. I would not drop Palmer, nor would I drop Kyler Murray. Man, you have to drop one of these guys. I wouldn't drop Kyler. He's going to probably play next week. I don't want to drop Palmer. I know he's out this week, but I like his rest of season opportunity. I mean, as much as I like Shaheed, he might be the guy you have to drop here for a kicker. I guess I would say between Dotson, Shaheed, I kind of like Brandon Cooks tomorrow. The Eagles secondary has been beatable this year. So I kind of like Cooks as a dart throw. But you have to drop somebody for a kicker. Can you can you wait, Joe? If you're still in here, can you wait for Palmer? Has Palmer been ruled out on either Yahoo or wherever you play? Has he been ruled out? Can you just put him in IR, and then that way you don't have to drop anybody? Like, what's his? Did they rule him out yet? I'm just checking to see if they ruled him out yet. Yeah, they ruled him out. Joe, can you not put Palmer in IR? If you're still in here, Joe, let me know. Let's come back to this. If you can't put Palmer in IR, then maybe just drop him and play Dotson and Shaheed and pick up a kicker. But I would hope you can just IR Palmer and then pick up a kicker for free. Let me know if you're still in here. What's going on, Callie? Good to see you, man. Henderson, Rice, Watson, Smith and Jigba, McKinnon, or Foreman in half PPR. Henderson. He's playing the Packers. The Packers give up a lot. Um, Packers give up a lot of production to opposing running backs. He might not have Stafford tomorrow, but it's a good matchup. I would probably just play Henderson, Callie. Even if Stafford doesn't play, you got to think they would run the ball a decent amount. Just like protect Brett Ripien as best they can, dump the ball off to him a few times. I would say Henderson. It's a good matchup. The Packers give up a lot of production to opposing running backs. I would go Henderson. Rice is in a shootout. Yeah, this could be a good matchup. Watson, there's nothing scary about the Rams matchup, but the Packers offense is broken. Smith and Jigba, I need to wait 1 week, one more week. Tough matchup against Baltimore, and Metcalf and Lockett are healthy. McKinnon, no, not just because Edwards-Helaire is out. No, I can't play McKinnon, not yet. And then Foreman, forget it. Not against the Saints on the road. I would say Henderson. Even if Stafford is out, I would say Henderson. Packers are giving up lots of production to opposing running backs. PPR start 2 between McLaurin, Downs, and Rice. I would probably go McLaurin and Rice. McLaurin is the most talented guy here. I know he's in a bad matchup against New England, but I can't go against him. Not compared to these other guys. You got to play him. He's your best player here. So fire up McLaurin. As far as Rice versus Downs, we're not going to know if Downs is going to be able to play before Rice plays because Rice is in the Germany game. I would prefer to play Downs over Rashee Rice. However, you're not going to know if Downs is available until after Rice plays. So play McLaurin and Rice. If Downs plays, so be it, but you're not going to know that before Rice goes, and I definitely want to play McLaurin even in a matchup against New England. I would play McLaurin and I would play Rice. I would play Downs if he over Rice if he wasn't on the injury report, but he is on the injury report. and he's not going to play until after the Germany game. So you're not, if you know, it would suck to bench Rice, play Downs, and then Downs is ruled out. And then you're stuck playing, I don't know, somebody not as good. I would play McLaurin and Rice. Marquise Brown or T. Higgins? Higgins, not close. I know Higgins hasn't been his normal self this year, but Hollywood is going to be catching passes from Clayton Tune on the road against the best defense in the NFL. No to Hollywood. T. Higgins. He hasn't been himself, but he's catching passes from Joe Burrow in a potential shootout against the Bills. I'll take that over Hollywood catching passes from Clayton Tune 8 days a week. Higgins. And then you're just hoping that the pain tolerance is he doesn't have to deal with it as much week over week moving forward as he moves away from the rib injury and continues to get healthy. Higgins, for sure. Logan Thomas or Trey McBride. I just don't want to play any Cardinals tomorrow, man. I don't want to play Cardinals. I really don't. I know McBride has an opportunity here, and he should catch some dump offs from Clayton Tune, but I don't trust the Cardinals tomorrow on the road against the Browns defense. I don't. I would just play Logan Thomas because he's not. I will play Logan Thomas simply because he's not in Trey McBride's situation. Rookie quarterback going against the best defense in the NFL. I want no parts of the Cardinals offense tomorrow. None. Zero. Zilch. That includes Marquise Brown. I don't want anything to do with the Cardinals tomorrow. It's not a walk in the park for Logan Thomas having to go on the road to play New England, but this version to the 2023 version of the Patriots is not as scary as they used to be. I'll take Logan Thomas. I don't trust the Cardinals tomorrow. Not at all. Not even a little bit. And then Ramondre Stevenson or Jerome Ford. Ford is getting a boost because he's playing the Arizona Cardinals. Stevenson has a higher floor. Ford has a lower floor, but because he's, Stevenson splits work with Zeke, but he's been a little bit more involved. Ford is splitting work with Kareem Hunt. He's coming back healthy. It's a good matchup. Stevenson is the floor play. Ford is the ceiling play. If you think you can play it safe, I would play Stevenson. If you think you need to be aggressive, given your matchup, if you feel like you're an underdog, then maybe play Ford and just hope for the ceiling play in a good matchup against the Cardinals. Ramondre, floor. Jerome Ford, ceiling. And Callie, no problem. I would play the Raiders. I would play the Raiders defense. Look, the Raiders are not a good team. The Giants are not a good team. But I like both of their defenses because the reason that these teams are not that good is because their offenses stink. We got Aiden O'Connell on one end and Daniel Jones on the other. O'Connell's making his second career start. Daniel Jones has been awful this year outside of 1 week against the Cardinals, who stink. I like the defenses in this game to make plays, to make things happen. The Giants have at least 2 sacks in 4 of their past 6 games, and they've got at least 2 turnovers in 3 of their past 4 games. That's pretty good. And then last week for the Raiders, obviously they got walked out the building by the Lions, but they still got 2 fumble recoveries. They picked up a pick 6. They've got at least 2 sacks in 6 of 8 games this year. Like, this is not a bad unit. It's not great, but it's not terrible. I like both defenses in this matchup tomorrow. I like the Raiders defense and I like the Giants defense. So I would take the Raiders over the Vikings. Vikings are in a good spot. The Falcons are inept on offense. They're not going to have Drake London. They will have Arthur Smith as head coach, so that's always an advantage for the other team. Um, but I'll take the Raiders against Daniel Jones. Oh, Nate, you're asking. Okay, Kupp or Pacheco in full PPR. If Stafford is out, probably still go Kupp. I mean, here's the problem. You're not going to know if Stafford is ruled out until after Pacheco has played. So I would say it comes down to personal preference. Do you trust Cooper Kupp with Brett Ripien on the road? I have my doubts on that one. But Cooper Kupp is still Cooper Kupp. He's still really freaking good. The problem is Pacheco is in the Germany game tomorrow. You're not going to know until after that game is over whether Stafford is going to play or not. So if you're only going to feel good about I would say this is a gut call, Nate. If you only feel good about Kupp because if Stafford plays, then you might as well just play Pacheco because Pacheco's playing in the Germany game, and his game's going to be over before we know if Stafford is ruled out or not. The floor play is Kupp. I'll say, well, let's put it this way. The floor play is Pacheco. Kupp is more of a ceiling play, but his floor is lowered with a backup quarterback. So if you think you can play it safe, maybe just go Pacheco. But if you want to play aggressive, then maybe just play Kupp. My dog's making a cameo in the background. Say hi, Ut. He's begging me for attention, even though he got a shitload of attention just before this stream. Needy dog. I'm sure some of y'all in here can probably relate to that. Yeah, I'll say Pacheco is your safe play. And I guess whatever 3 or 4 opportunities per game that Edwards-Helaire usually gets, Pacheco could get those. So he gets a few extra touches this week. Kupp is a little bit more of an all or nothing play. So if you want to be aggressive, then I would play Kupp. And Alex, thanks for dropping in, man. Yes, good luck to everybody this week. We're trying to get these dubs as the fantasy playoffs, the stretch run is damn near underway. Full PPR: Gabe Davis, Hollywood Brown, Kareem Hunt, Darrell Henderson, and James Cook. You need a running back, a wide receiver, and a flex. And it's full PPR. Your wide receiver is Gabe. Your wide receiver is Gabe Davis. I am not playing Hollywood Brown catching passes from Clayton Tune. I'm just not. Your wide receiver is Gabe Davis. So you can put Gabe in the wide receiver spot. And then I would probably play as your flex, Henderson and Cook. I would play Henderson and Cook. I would put Henderson in the flex because he's playing early, and I would play Cook I would play Henderson in your running back slot because he's playing early. I would play Cook in the flex because he's playing on Sunday night. I'm not worried about James Cook from the perspective that they signed Leonard Fournette. I think that's more to give some work, take some work away from Latavius Murray and give it to Leonard Fournette. Cook's role to me is unchanged just because they signed Leonard Fournette. I think the fact that they signed Leonard Fournette means you can comfortably drop Latavius Murray if you're still rostering him. Latavius Murray can comfortably be left on waivers, but James Cook can still comfortably be fired up. With Kareem Hunt, it's just a numbers crunch. And in full PPR, with Cook being the pass catching back, I just feel a little bit better about James Cook as the pass catching guy. And then I'm playing Henderson, who should have the role to himself in a good matchup against Green Bay. Yeah. So Gabe is your where was this question? Sorry. Sorry, I lost my spot. And I just realized I missed Derek's question. I missed a couple of questions right above. So I will move back up. Apologies to Derek and Dub Nation. I see your other questions. I'll get to those. My bad. Didn't mean to miss those. Let me see. Yeah. Tommy, Gabe is your wide receiver, Henderson is your running back, Cook is your flex. That's what I'm doing. All right, I missed sorry about that. I got Parker's question. I would go Ramondre floor, Ford ceiling, and then Mayfield or Minshew. I think both of these are decent options. Um as far as, if you're desperate for a quarterback stream. Mayfield on the road against Houston, Minshew on the road against Carolina. I would wait. Dub Nation, if you're still in here, I would wait to see if Josh Downs is active for the Colts. If Josh Downs is active for the Colts, I would play Minshew. If Josh Downs is ultimately ruled out and Minshew is down a receiver to throw to, I would play Mayfield. So basically, let's keep an eye on the status of Josh Downs in this situation for this question. If Downs is active, I would play Minshew. If Downs is out, I would play Mayfield over Minshew. So let's just keep an eye on that Josh Downs status. Derek, I wouldn't be breaking my back to try to trade for Justin Jefferson, and that goes for everybody. Kirk Cousins is out for the year. I mean, there's only so much I'm going to feel comfortable parting with for Justin Jefferson. I know they traded for Josh Dobbs, so they're going to try to keep their season afloat. That's all well and good, but you're talking about either Jaron Hall or Josh Dobbs. There's going to be more inconsistencies. Justin Jefferson is awesome. He's a top 3, top 2 wide receiver when healthy, but he's not healthy right now. Hopefully he comes back week 11. Like, we're hoping he can come back in 2 weeks. Don't know what type of version we're going to get from Justin Jefferson in his first game back. And then in 2 weeks after that, week 13, it's his bye week. So we're not going to have him again until week 14. Maybe he's fully healthy then. I wouldn't be giving up too much. I think Justin Jefferson is a very difficult person to acquire right now because anybody who's trying to acquire him is clearly trying to get him at a discount, and anybody who's selling him is still going to want to get some form of top dollar for him because he's Justin Jefferson. I just think he's too difficult a person to try to trade for right now and not somebody I would be spending time thinking about. There's too many question marks. There's too much at risk to give up anything of value whatsoever. And if somebody's asking for even more than they previously were, it's just like, dude, there's no incentive. Just because he's coming back sooner, he lost his quarterback. I don't feel good about that. So I wouldn't be trying too hard. I wouldn't be trying too hard to acquire Justin Jefferson. There's very little that I can feel good about giving up to acquire him right now. It's just way too risky. Way too risky. Okay. Let's see. I got through a couple of these member questions. If any of my members obviously have anything, feel free to follow up below. I got Tommy's question. Nate, I saw you have the Bills going, but you could pivot to the Chargers if you feel like you need to. Um, I would say if you feel like you need upside, or yeah, if you're trailing and you feel like you need upside, I don't mind going Chargers over Bills, but the Bills would be a fine safe play if you've got the game in hand. So I think you're all right there. Um, and then Joe, okay, I see your follow up. Thank you for the follow up. You can't move Palmer to IR. You have Lawrence. You have Carr this week. I think I agree. I would just drop. I think I agree with Nate. I don't want to drop Kyler, but I would just drop Kyler. Don't play without a kicker. Even if you're 7-1, don't play without a kicker. Play with the maximum number of opportunities as far as starting spots you have to get yourself the win. Drop Kyler. I would not drop Palmer. I like his chances rest of season with Herbert. With no Mike Williams, Quentin Johnston has not done anything to make us believe that he's about to overtake Josh Palmer. I would drop Kyler because you have Carr this week, and then you can drop Carr. You can put an effort in again to get Kyler back by dropping Carr. And even if you miss out, you have Trevor Lawrence, who I like a lot rest of season moving forward. I know he hasn't met expectations from a fantasy perspective yet, but they got through a really difficult part of their schedule where they played a lot of games in a short amount of time. They had to travel to London. They had to play a Thursday night game shortly after that. Now that they have their bye week, they've got more spread out games. Their schedule's a little bit more normal for the rest of the season. I like Trevor Lawrence moving forward. I would drop Kyler to get a kicker. Don't play without a kicker. Don't play without a kicker. I would drop Kyler. Like, you tried to trade him, good job. Like, you did your due diligence. It didn't happen. I would just drop Kyler. I would keep Palmer. I know he's out right now, but he's the wide receiver too, for the Chargers. It's not Quentin Johnston. I would hang on to Palmer. Okay, moving back up. I got through a lot of member questions, so doing a little bit better than I thought. Puka, Christian Watson, Dubs, Lockett, or Godwin. You need two. I would go Godwin for sure. If Puka is active, I would play Puka. If Puka's in, I would play Godwin and Puka. If Puka is out, I wish I could believe more in Watson, but that Packers offense has been so bad. Puka's active and Stafford is active, I would play Puka. If you're worried about Puka because if whether Stafford has to miss or if Puka can't go, then Godwin and Lockett. Godwin for sure. Godwin has to be in for me. And then I play Puka if Puka is active. And certainly if Stafford is active, then I'll play Puka. But if either one of those guys are out, obviously if Puka's out, but if Stafford is also out and you're worried about Puka, I would play Lockett. Godwin for sure. And yeah, stream the Raiders defense. It's a good spot this week. Dalton Schultz, Njoku, or McBride. So I'm not playing McBride. I know he's been good. I just don't trust the Cardinals tomorrow on the road against Cleveland. I just don't. It's between Dalton Schultz and Njoku for me. Njoku's been removed from the injury report, and he gets Deshaun Watson back. That's probably where I would go. I'd probably go Njoku. No Donovan Peoples-Jones anymore for Cleveland. They traded him. I would play Njoku. Robert Woods is out for the Texans, but Tank Dell is back. So a little less enthusiastic about Schultz. I would play Njoku, and I'm not playing McBride. Not in this situation. Not in this situation. I don't want to do that. Let's see. Gorilla Kid, if you're still in here, welcome in. Appreciate the patience. 2 running backs, 2 receivers, and a flex. You got to play Bijan and Mixon. You got to play Bijan and Mixon. Those are your have to starts at running back. I would play Flowers at home against Seattle. I would probably play Garrett. I would probably play Garrett Wilson on Monday night against the Chargers. That's a good matchup for him. As far as your flex, I guess I would wait for nicely done playing Deontay on Thursday. He came through. You want to wait on Puka and you want to wait on Matthew Stafford and his injury, and see if one or both are able to play. I'm playing B. These are some good options. That's why I have a little bit of pause. You have to play Bijan at home. You have to play Mixon at home. What I don't know is if it's full or half PPR. Bijan, yes. Mixon, yes. I would say Wilson needs to be one of your wide receivers. Actually, to that point, because Wilson plays on Monday night, I would put Wilson in your flex. Maximize your flex opportunities. You never know what random thing could happen between now and kickoff. I always leave my flex. So if I have a player playing on Monday night, that player is going in the flex. You never know. Bijan, Mixon are in your 2 running back spots. I would put Wilson in your flex spot because he's playing on Monday night. I would play Flowers and Puka, and if Puka can't go, then you can pivot to Lockett as your 2 wide receivers. Ford is in a good matchup against Arizona, but how that backfield shakes out is yet to be determined with Kareem Hunt getting more and more involved over the past couple of weeks. And then I like Pacheco, but I don't think I like him as much as these other names. And I'm willing to wait on Puka because I know I have good options to pivot to if I need to. So I would say Bijan and Mixon are your running backs. I would put Garrett Wilson in your flex. I would put Flowers in as one of your wide receivers. I would put Garrett Wilson, or I would put Puka in as your other wide receiver. And if Puka is ruled out, or if Matthew Stafford is ruled out and you don't want to mess around with Puka, then you could pivot to Lockett. Hopefully that makes sense. And best of luck. DJV, I got your question. If you missed it, it's McLaurin and Rice for me. Let's play those 2 guys because we don't know if Downs is going to be active. And you don't want to miss out on Rashee Rice as a result of that because Rice plays in the Germany game. And I definitely want to play McLaurin. So McLaurin and Rice. Oh, it's full PPR for Gorilla. Okay, I missed that. I just missed that before I finished answering the question. Yeah, Bijan, Mixon, running backs, Flowers, Puka, wide receivers, Wilson in the flex. If Puka can't go or if Stafford can't go and you're not feeling Puka because Stafford misses, then you can fire up Lockett in the other wide receiver spot. Let's see. Start one between Kincaid, Evans, or Aaron Jones. Uh, is that Mike Evans? I mean, I don't want to sit Aaron Jones or Mike Evans. I think you have to play. Man, the thing is, Aaron Jones is difficult to trust because he hasn't done anything since week one. He's been in and out of the lineup with injuries. The Packers have been kind of like playing it safe with him, so he's not getting his full normal complement of snaps and opportunities and all that stuff. Um, so it's a little tougher to trust him. If I have a guy like Mike Evans and I'm between Mike Evans and Aaron Jones and I can only play one, then I guess I'm going to play Mike Evans, who I at least know is going to play a full complement of snaps. I would play Evans. I want to play Aaron Jones, but if I have a guy like Mike Evans, then I'll pivot to the safe option in Mike Evans. I want to believe in Aaron Jones, but we haven't seen anything from Aaron Jones since week one. So it's hard to trust him. It's hard to trust him. As far as your quarterback options, Stroud, Howell, Mayfield, I would probably go Stroud. Howell is in a tough spot because he's on the road against the Patriots. Now he's been putting up decent numbers. He's also without Curtis Samuel tomorrow. He's not going to play because of injury. Stroud is down Robert Woods, but he still has Nico Collins. He still has Tank Dell. He still has Dalton Schultz. Howell has better weapons, but Stroud has been the better player. I think I would go Stroud. He's at home, playing against Tampa. He should be fine in that game, playing at home. Howell has to go on the road against a Belichick defense. I would play Howell. I would play Evans, and I would play Howell. Let's see. Half PPR, you're looking for highest floor. 2 out of 3 between Ramondre, Rice, and Singletary. Probably Ramondre. I know it probably feels like pulling teeth. He's probably the highest floor. And then with no Damian Pierce, I would probably go Singletary. I probably, in half PPR, I think I play those two running backs. I know Ramondre has been frustrating, but at home against Washington, nothing scary about that matchup. I think I would go back to the well with Ramondre, and I would go Singletary. I think the running backs have the floor. If you're looking for highest floor, I think it's those two running backs. No Damian Pierce for Houston tomorrow. Singletary should see 20 touches. Singletary should see 20 touches tomorrow. The efficiency might be gross, but he's going to get the opportunities. He's going to get the opportunities. Yeah. Ramondre and Singletary. The floor plays are usually the running backs just because of volume. expected volume. Let's see. I got my members already. Chuba Hubbard or Gabe Davis in the flex. I would probably go Gabe. Um, he's all or nothing. He's boom bust. But this is a matchup where we expect a lot of points to be scored between the Bengals and the Bills. You figure Gabe should be a part of that, and they got him involved as like an intermediate receiver last week, so that was good to see. Chuba, he's going to start. That's cool. He's going to get the volume. He's going to get the opportunities. He's just not that good. Like, no disrespect. He's just not, he doesn't instill a ton of confidence. He got 15 carries last week. He turned it into 28 yards. And that was with Miles Sanders getting 2 carries. He got 2 catches for 26 yards. So, like, the volume was there for Hubbard, but he didn't even clear 50 yards receiving or 50 total yards. Yes, he did. He cleared 50. He had 54 total yards from scrimmage when you factor in the 26 receiving yards. But, like, that's like 6 half PPR points. I trust Gabe. Gabe is all or nothing. Chuba is like a boring floor play with a very low floor. I would just play Gabe. Yeah. I would just play Gabe. He might not. Gabe might catch 2 balls for 20 yards too, but I'll take the dude catching passes from Josh Allen in a potential shootout. Full PPR, Tank Dell, Jahan Dotson, Elijah Moore. Dell gets Tampa at home. Elijah Moore is also at home against the Cardinals. Dotson is on the road against New England. L. Dotson. I know Dotson had a nice week last week, but he's been tough to trust. L. I guess I would say Tank Dell between these options. He's at home. Robert Woods is out. Stroud is playing well. Dell got his first, he missed a couple of weeks due to injury. He got the first game back out under his belt last week. He got that taken care of last week. Dotson's on the road against New England. I know he's got more of an opportunity theoretically with no Curtis Samuel. It's just like he needs to string a couple weeks together in a row before I feel okay about Dotson. He has been outside. Basically, when Dotson doesn't play the Eagles this year, he has been bad. So we got to see how he does before we fire him back up. And then Elijah Moore, I mean, even when Deshaun Watson has been in there, again, it's like a I need to see it type of thing with Elijah Moore. I can't trust him right now. I would go Tank. I would go Tank Dell. No Robert Woods for Houston. And Stroud is playing well. I'll go Tank. Full PPR. Boyd, Shakir, Osborne, Crowder, Gallup. This is a bye week struggle, but I know a lot of us are dealing with these right now. Boyd is probably like a boring floor play. Shakir's going to be tough to trust. Shakir had a really nice game against the Bucks, but he's going to be a difficult guy to trust. Although it is, it's on the other side. That's that potential shootout. Osborne is catching passes from Jaron Hall now. Crowder's got an increased opportunity with Washington with no Curtis Samuel. And then Gallup is playing the Eagles. In full PPR, the play here might be Crowder. I can't believe I'm saying that. In the year 2023, but Crowder should see some decent usage tomorrow. No Curtis Samuel. He had 7 catches last week for 95 yards. That's pretty good. I mean, he's a little older now, but he's still only 30. It's not like Jamison Crowder feels like one of those dudes. If you told me that Jamison Crowder was 41 years old, I would be like, "Yep, that's correct. That's accurate." But it's not. He's still only 30 years old. So, he's not I guess he's not exactly dust yet. Um, I guess I would start Crowder just full PPR and just hope he can accumulate some volume. Yeah, I'll say Crowder. Just hope for some PPR production. Let's see. I got through my members. If my members feel like I missed anything, just let me know. I'll make sure to follow back up with you guys. But I think I got all my members, so we can keep it moving. We're at Vito's question. You want to stash Quentin Johnston? Should you drop Myers or Spears? I don't really want to drop Spears. I like Spears as a stash, even though the Titans didn't trade Derrick Henry. I've really liked Spears as a stash, maybe to a fault. Myers is a potential drop. I don't think that I would do it this week. Myers has been really good with Jimmy Garoppolo. Obviously, Jimmy Garoppolo has now been benched by the Raiders. We only have one game worth of sample size with Aiden O'Connell, and it's not a good one for Jacoby Myers. So let's see how tomorrow shakes out. Let's put it this way. The Chargers don't play until Monday night. If Myers has a bad game on Saturday or on Sunday tomorrow, you could drop Myers and pick up Quentin Johnston before Monday night. You could do that. If you really want to take a look at Quentin Johnston because Josh Palmer is out and let's see how he does. It's a tough matchup, by the way, too. The Jets obviously have one of the best cornerback tandems in the NFL. I would wait. If Jacoby Myers has a quiet game, if he doesn't do anything tomorrow, and it's looking like his value was completely attached to Jimmy Garoppolo, then you can drop him if he has a bad game. But I would wait. I would wait until the game actually gets played. And if Myers has a bad game, he's going to be on your bench. You can just drop him and pick up Quentin Johnston before the Monday night game, and then you can give Johnston a look. Caleb Williams nearly had a score, but he just didn't have not quite the best ball placement there. Caleb Williams, man, the vibes are not as they're not all roses and rainbows with Caleb Williams as the guaranteed number 1 overall pick anymore. The vibes with him have been a little questionable the past couple of weeks. I still think he's super talented, but I mean, I don't know. Those Drake May, the Drake May truthers that are starting to look like could be creeping in. Could be creeping in. I still think Caleb Williams is the number 1 pick. But I don't know. All this stuff is a little weird with him. He wants stake in the team. He doesn't want to go to a bad team, but it's like, dude, you're really good. You're going to be picked first overall. Generally speaking, those teams are bad. I don't know how you expect to get to a team that's already good. The idea is you make the team good. You're supposed to make the team good. And he wants stake in the team. His dad is getting involved. I don't know. There's a lot of outliers in here where I'm just like, uh-oh, on Caleb Williams. He probably still needs to be the first overall pick, but I mean, there's some stuff going on with him now where it's just like, question how solid that ground is for him right now as the first overall pick, but we'll see. Start one between Zach Moss or Gus Edwards. Moss has the Panthers. Nothing scary about that. Edwards has the Seahawks. They're better. They're better than the Seahawks run defense is better um this year than it was last year. Moss has stayed involved even with, Jonathan Taylor working his way back into the mix since he signed the contract extension. I'll give the slight nod to Moss. Like, I thought Moss would like completely fall by the wayside since Taylor returned, but he hasn't. He hasn't. 11 carries for 66 yards last week, and a touchdown. 18 carries for 57 yards. That's not great, but that's good volume. 7 carries for 21 yards. That's not great, but he scored. And he caught 6 balls that week for 38 yards. Zach Moss has not. I thought Zach Moss would have been, you know, waiver wire fodder at this point with the return of Jonathan Taylor, but that hasn't been the case. I think I would go Moss. It's a good matchup. The Panthers are not very good on defense. I think I would go Moss. I like Gus. I do. I like Gus Bus, but I think I would go Moss. He has been very involved in this Colts offense, even with Jonathan Taylor returning. And it's a good matchup tomorrow. It's a better matchup than what Gus has. Oh no, Rojo. You trade hey man, at least I mean those picks are probably throwaways anyway. Like 4th round picks rarely turn into anything. 3rd round picks can. They can turn into like a Tank Dell type of player. Um yeah, that's tough. I mean, you're not rooting for an injury, but it's not like Garoppolo can't play again the rest of this season. He could. He certainly could. He certainly could. But yeah, it's not great. Got benched immediately after the trade. Oh no. I hate when that happens. Let's see. Devin Singletary or Rashid Shaheed? I love Rashid Shaheed, man, but like that's a dart throw any given week. Singletary is going to get all the work, or is expected to get the majority of the work for the Houston Texans tomorrow. I got to say Singletary. He should see 20 touches tomorrow. Same answer as the next question. Singletary, Tank Dell, or Christian Watson. Yeah, the answer for both of these is Singletary for me. Um, he should see 20 touches. Dameon Pierce is out. It's not a great matchup, but Singletary, I mean, the coaches like him. The coaches have talked about how Singletary is a good fit for what they want to do on offense. They have every reason now to give him as many chances, give him as many opportunities as he can handle. Dameon Pierce is not in the picture. He's hurt. He's out this week. I think it's got to be Singletary. I think it's got to be Singletary. I like Rashid Shaheed. He's a great dart throw, but Singletary is not a dart throw this week. He's a solid RB2 to fire up. Gotta play Singletary over Shaheed. And I'll say you gotta play Singletary over Tank Dell and Christian Watson. Both of those guys are wide receiver 3s. Singletary is an RB2. Gotta play the running back who's expected to see a decent amount of opportunities tomorrow. Yeah. Singletary. Singletary's an RB2 play tomorrow, even in a less than ideal matchup. Vita Vea is playing, right? I know he was on the injury report for the Thursday night game. Questionable, but should play. Yeah, not a great matchup for Devin Singletary, but The Texans have been pretty good, like on offense. Stroud looks pretty good. I would expect this offense at home should mostly be okay moving the football. Yeah, give me Singletary as the answer to both of I am Brop and Hector's questions. Singletary over all those other options. Sport Dog, the answer is not to put Aaron Jones in for James Cook. The answer is to put Aaron Jones in for Chuba Hubbard. Play Aaron Jones and James Cook. I'm a little leery of Aaron Jones, but Aaron Jones is significantly better than Chuba Hubbard. Sit Chuba Hubbard. I'm not playing Chuba just because he was named the starter. He was essentially named the starter last week. Miles Sanders got 2 carries, did nothing, literally nothing with them. Chuba turned 15 carries into 28 yards. I will roll the dice on Aaron Jones and James Cook easily over Chuba Hubbard. So yes, you're right. You might want to put Aaron Jones in, not over James Cook, over Chuba Hubbard. Sit Chuba, play Aaron Jones and James Cook. I am not a Chuba guy. I know he's now been officially named the starter, but I don't care. I don't care. Yeah, play Aaron Jones, play James Cook. Henderson, London, and Dubs for Olave and Sanders. I'd rather have Olave. I don't love Miles Sanders, but Henderson's probably going to lose at least a good portion of his opportunities once Kyron Williams comes back. London is up and down because he plays for the Atlanta Falcons, and he's going to miss this week. So, he's got an injury he's dealing with. And Dubs is up and down, one with the return of Christian Watson, and two, the Packers offense has not been very good. I know Olave hasn't been a world beater yet this year, but he's seen the most volume of these guys easily. And Derek Carr, as bad as he is, he's better than whatever combination the Falcons throw out there between Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. I would take the Olave side without knowing the details of your team or what you might need. I would take Olave. I would take the Olave side. I would take the Olave side. Let's see. Gabe or Douglas? Still Gabe, and you're welcome for the thoughts. Still Gabe. I mean, Douglas has an increased opportunity, which is great for him, but as boom bust as Gabe Davis can be, he's still way more established than Demario Douglas. And Douglas is catching passes from Mac Jones. Gabe is catching passes from Josh Allen. I'll roll the dice on Gabe Davis. Sometimes it's that simple. Who's the better quarterback? Like, which receiver has the better quarterback? I'll take Gabe catching passes from Josh Allen in a potential shootout. Start one wide receiver and one flex. Zay Flowers, Gabe Davis, Rashee Rice, Gus Edwards. Let's see. I like Flowers, even though it's a tough matchup against the Seahawks corners. Flowers was quiet last week, but so was the Ravens passing offense as a whole. Has still cleared 50 yards receiving in every game but 2 this year, and one of those 2 games he had 48 yards receiving on 8 catches, so still pretty good volume, pretty good production from Zay Flowers. Flowers has been pretty consistent. And I don't know if this is half or full PPR. I would say like Flowers. Gabe is all or nothing. Depends on how aggressive you want to be. I would say your safe play is Gus Edwards. I would say your safe play is your Ravens, Gus Edwards and Flowers. But if you want to be if you think you can play it safe, if you think you can play it safe, I would play your Ravens. I would play Flowers and Gus Edwards. If you think you need to be aggressive, then I would play Gabe instead of Gus Edwards. Depends on how aggressive you think you need to be. If you think you need to be aggressive, I would play those first two wide receivers. If you think you can play it safe, I would play your Ravens. I would play Flowers and Edwards. You have Burrow and Allen in the same league. Boy. You have to play Josh Allen. You have to play. If you have both of those guys, I mean, try to trade Joe Burrow. If it's a one quarterback league, and if it's a one quarterback league, you should be trying to trade Joe Burrow. You can't sit. Josh Allen is a top 2 fantasy quarterback every week. It's him and Jalen Hurts. I mean, Mahomes as well, but Mahomes doesn't run the way that Hurts and Allen do. Josh Allen is a must start. You have to. I know Burrow's really good. You have to play Allen. You have to play Allen. I would try to trade Burrow. You have to play Josh Allen every week. You have to. He's that dude. From a fantasy perspective, Josh Allen is that dude. Yeah, you have to play Josh Allen. He's one of the safest quarterbacks in recent memory from a fantasy perspective. He's a top 5 quarterback more than 50% of the time. That is a ridiculously safe rate. It's also a ridiculously good rate. Yeah, Allen. You have to play Allen, and I would try to trade Burrow. Okay, let's see. You have an open roster spot because you put Palmer on IR. Smith and Jigba. Smith and Jigba's available. I would roll the dice on him. I mean, if you really desperately, if it's dire straits, need running back help, then I guess grab Charbonnet, but I'd want to stash Smith and Jigba almost regardless. He's the guy I'd rather be stashing. If you really sorely need running back help, then I guess Charbonnet. But in a vacuum, I'd rather be stashing Smith and Jigba. And it's tough. It's an 8-team league, so you're gonna not, you're not gonna have many opportunities to play Smith and Jigba. But I mean, he's got the most talent here. He has the most upside. Would I drop Tank Dell or Christian Watson? Well, first of all, what's it for? Like, what is the need? What is the need to drop one of those two dudes? Do you need to free up a roster spot because somebody's ineligible on IR? Like, why do you have to drop one of these guys? I guess I would drop Dell and just like I'll play. Christian Watson is a big time upside play. He's a big time upside guy. So while the Packers offense is broken, he'd still be a dude that I want to hang on to. But I don't want to drop either one of those guys if I don't have to. But if I have to drop one, I guess I would keep Watson. Like, yeah. The Packers offense is bad, but he's a home run threat. Start 2 running backs and a flex between Rachaad White, Aaron Jones, Gus Edwards, Ramondre Stevenson. I would be sitting Gus Edwards. I would sit Gus Edwards. Rachaad White is on a bit of a run. He's got double-digit half PPR points in his past 2 games. Nothing scary about the matchup against Houston, and he'll catch passes. So Rachaad White's on a bit of a run. Stevenson is still a viable pass catching option for at running back. And you would think with the losses that the Patriots had at wide receiver, he's also a guy who could see some increased usage, especially as a receiver out of the backfield. So I would play Ramondre. I like Gus. Don't get it twisted. Gus is a good option, but for me, he's the most questionable of this group. Aaron Jones has been removed from the injury report. For whatever it's worth, Matt LaFleur said that they plan to quote unquote cut him loose. So I guess that means that he's ready to get his full complement of snaps and touches again. And I would contest that Aaron Jones is the most talented player of this group, even as a 28-year-old. So Rachaad White, Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson. Those are the three guys that I'm playing of those four names. Flex 2, Freeman, McBride, Taysom Hill. Oof, this is either a deep league, which I respect, or you're just dealing with injuries and bye weeks, which that's just the way it goes sometimes. I don't trust the Arizona Cardinals tomorrow. I just don't, man. And maybe in a vacuum, McBride is a better option than Taysom Hill, and he might be okay tomorrow, catching some short passes from Clayton Tune. But holy hell, it is a rookie quarterback, a fifth-round rookie, making his first career start on the road against the best defense in the NFL, and the Cardinals themselves stink. I just don't trust the Cardinals. I would say Royce Freeman and Taysom Hill. At least for Freeman, the Packers are giving up lots of production to opposing running backs. So there's a bit of a saving grace with Royce Freeman. Freeman and Hill. I don't trust the Cardinals tomorrow, man. I don't trust any of them. Not against that Browns defense with a backup quarterback. I don't feel good about those guys. Let's see. You traded Keenan Allen and Ramondre for Chase and Pierce. Okay. Well, you got Chase. You got the best player, so that's good. I don't love Dameon Pierce. You gave up the second and third best players in the deal and got the best and worst player in the deal. So from that perspective, I would say it's fair. You got the best player. As long as you have other decent running backs, I'm okay with it. I don't love the Dameon Pierce acquisition, but hey, running back depth is running back depth, so it could be worse. And Chase is the best player here. So I'm okay with it. You got the best player. In a 2-for-2 swap, you got the best player. That's the best. I mean, that in and of itself is why you can consider it a win. You got the best player. And it looks like the Bengals are starting to find themselves a little bit on offense. The Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase connection looks just fine after last week. So yeah, you got the best. You got the best player in the deal. That's good. That's good. I would just hope you have some decent running backs to pivot to. And obviously, you're not going to have Pierce this week. He's out. Okay, this is I guess a trade question. Tight end premium. Oh, it's like double PPR for tight ends. Oh wow. All right. Would I trade Evans and Mixon for Mark Andrews? Yes. Yes. You have Walker, Eckler, and then Acham when he comes back at running back. You have Tyreek Hill. You have Amon-Ra St. Brown. You have like Devontae Smith and Zay Flowers as your wide receivers 3 and 4. Yes. Yes. I have liked Mixon as a buy low. But if he's in a trade to get one of the top 2 tight ends in the league, well, let's just call it the tight end 2. Yes. You're getting and whatever with the tight end premium, it's like a double tight end premium, unless it's full PPR, but it's it's full PPR for like running backs and wide receivers, and then double PPR for tight ends. It's tight end premium, no matter how to slice it. I mean, for Mark Andrews, yes, the answer is yes. I am doing that trade. My dog really wants me to take him outside. He's peeking behind my shoulder. Say hi, bud. Yes, I would make that trade. I would acquire, yes. To get Andrews, yes, I would do that. Your hesitancy is dynasty. That's fine. Honestly, all the more reason. Andrew tight ends age like quarterbacks do. Look at Travis Kelsey. He's 34 and still the tight end one. Maybe not for for dynasty rankings. If you want to put Kyle Pitts ahead of him, like okay, fine, sure, whatever. No, I'm not worried about the fact that Andrews is 29. He's got at least 3 years left of elite production. Yeah, I would do that trade in double premium, double tight end premium. Yeah, I would do that trade. I mean, Mike Evans is 30 years old. Like you're worried about. I mean, you meant you're hesitant because of the age. Mike Evans is older. Joe Mixon's a running back. He's older. Like this is fine. No, that's fine. I like that move. And you're in win now. At the end of the day, you're in win now mode. Get a tight end that helps you win now in exchange for pieces that are nice to have, but you've got other really good options to pivot to after the move. Yes, I say yes, do that trade. Like, yeah. Mike Evans is 30 years old. Joe Mixon is a 27-year-old running back. They fall off cliffs. Running backs don't steady decline. Running backs don't do this. They do this. They go down. They're done. Except for like Derrick Henry, who is an enigma. He is an anomaly. They don't steady decline. They go off cliffs. Like Joe Mixon. Look what happened with Dalvin Cook this year. Look what happened with Dalvin Cook this year. Oh, he's really good. He's really good. He's a top 5 running back. He's a top 5 running back. Boom. He goes to the Jets. He's done. 27 years old, right? 28. How old's Dalvin Cook? I mean, it's not inconceivable that the same thing happens to Joe Mixon next year. Dalvin Cook's 28. But Joe Mixon's what? 27? Like, these running backs, yeah, he's 27. It sucks, but these running backs, they die so quickly. They die so quickly. So yes, I like that trade a lot for you. And appreciate the subscription. I'm happy you felt inclined to subscribe as a result. Appreciate the sub. Thank you. Let's see real quick. Do I like Laporta for Evans and Devontae Smith better? No. I mean, for Dynasty, like, yeah, but also Andrews is just way more established. Yes, Laporta for Dynasty looks like a top 5 tight end. He looks really good. But Mark Andrews is more established. If you're in win now mode, I think I'd rather have Andrews. And Lamar is playing like an MVP. Jared Goff has been fine. Jared Goff's been good. He's not playing like an MVP. Lamar is playing like an MVP. Like in theory, yeah, in Dynasty, sure, you could make that same trade. You could swap out Andrews for Laporta and nobody would bat an eye. It would make sense. And if you're worried about age and you really want to get the younger option, that's fine. Like Laporta is fine. Yeah, I mean, he's better than fine. He looks like a top 5 Dynasty tight end. But to win this season, if I had to choose, I guess I'd rather have Andrews. And I know it's Dynasty, so you have to factor in multiple years. For this season, if you're trying to win now, I'd rather have Andrews. Oh, and you'd have to give up Devontae Smith? Nah, do the Andrews. You have to give up Devontae Smith instead of Mixon. No, I would take Andrews for Mixon and Evans. No, I would do the Andrews trade. I like Laporta a lot, but to win this year, I one tight end between Andrews and Laporta, and I'm trying to compete and win this year. I'll take Andrews. Yeah, you'd rather give up Mixon than Devontae Smith, especially in Dynasty. Start Boyd over Puka with no Stafford. No. No, because T. Higgins is getting healthy. He's not the T. Higgins that we're used to yet, but he's still easily running ahead of Tyler Boyd when he's out there. Puka, at least, is an every down player for the Rams. I know he's on the injury report. He's dicey. It doesn't feel great if Stafford doesn't play. Um, I cannot obviously again, at the end of the day, these are your teams. Obviously, do what you feel most comfortable. Even if Stafford doesn't play, I can't advise Tyler Boyd over Puka. I can't go that far down. I gotta play Puka. I gotta play Puka. It doesn't feel great. He's on the injury report himself with with the knee injury, but I gotta play Puka. I gotta play Puka. Now, if Puka's out, then obviously you can fire up Tyler Boyd. If Puka himself is ruled out, you can fire up Tyler Boyd. But even if it's Brett Ripien, if Puka's active and my choice is Puka or Tyler Boyd, I gotta play Puka. I know it doesn't feel good, but I gotta play Puka. And look, if you don't feel great, if you yourself, I always try to tell people this, go with your own gut, right? If you're hearing what I'm saying, I tell this for everybody. I always tell people, I always, I don't mind taking the opportunity to say this like once a stream or whatever. If you're hearing what I'm saying and your gut doesn't agree, go with your gut. Go with your gut. This is your team at the end of the day. Do what you feel most comfortable doing. I can only offer my thoughts. And if you're feeling it, cool. If you hear what I say and after you hear what I say, you're in lockstep with what I'm saying, great, cool, awesome. But if you're not, that's okay. I'm not taking this personally. If you want to do something different, do what you feel better doing. If you feel more comfortable with Tyler Boyd as a he's his own team's wide receiver 3. But he's got Joe Burrow. It could be a shootout. There could be a lot of points scored between the Bills and the Bengals. Like, yeah, okay, fine. Um, that's fine. I would play Puka if at the very least Puka is active, even if Stafford is not. I would play Puka. But if you're not feeling it, then play Tyler Boyd. It's fine to feel that way. Puka didn't have a great game last week. Now he's banged up. Stafford is banged up. It's understandable. It's understandable. I would probably go Puka. Let's see. Trade happened. First place team got Swift and Jefferson for Henry and Russ. Is that Derrick Henry? And is it one quarterback? Or is it SuperFlex? If it's SuperFlex, then it's fair. If it's one quarterback, that's that better be Derrick Henry. That better not be Hunter Henry. As long as that is Derrick Henry, while I don't love the return, I would never make that trade. If I had Swift and Justin Jefferson and someone offered me Derrick Henry and Russ, especially if it's one quarterback, then I would not take that. It is okay. It's Derrick Henry. It's Derrick Henry and it's one quarterback. I don't like that return. I think the first place team swindled whoever that was that made that trade. I'm not going to call collusion. It's not because it's Derrick Henry, so it's not blatantly obvious. It feels a little fishy. I would understand if the league was a little upset about that. First place team just got just loaded up. Now the argument here is Derrick Henry is still an RB1 and Justin Jefferson is a major question mark. So there is a thought process here where I would say the trade is fine to have happened. I wouldn't feel great about it, but again, I preach in the Discord. I never veto trades. I don't believe in vetoing trades. I don't believe leagues should have the power to veto. I don't believe league mates should be involved in trades where they're not. If you're not involved in the trade, I don't mean this to be rude, but your opinion doesn't matter. I don't think this is collusion. I don't think this is clear and obvious collusion. I would understand if the league was annoyed about this trade. I hear it, I get it. The fact that Derrick Henry was moved in the deal for me means there's nothing to review here. We keep it moving. First place team took a chance on Justin Jefferson. It could go sideways for them. Jefferson might not be himself coming out of the injury. He lost Kirk Cousins to a season-ending injury, so maybe the backup quarterbacks render him less effective than he normally is. There's an argument here where it's fine. I don't think there's any obvious collusion here or anything like that. It doesn't feel like a very good return for the guy who traded Swift and Justin Jefferson, but if you need points, if you need wins, and Justin Jefferson isn't helping you winning games, and you've got pieces that can help you win games now, then I understand. Ultimately, I think it's fine. I don't love it, but I think it's fine. I think it's okay. At least it's Derrick Henry. If that was Hunter Henry, then I would call collusion. I would. But at least it's Derrick Henry. At least it's a guy who is still, you're firing up as a no-brainer in your starting lineup each week. So that's what makes the trade okay for me. That's what makes the trade okay for me. I don't love it, but I see it. I understand it. Last place team looking for wins, needs points however they can get them. They're not going to get them from Justin Jefferson the next 2 weeks. So I get it. At 42, glad we could talk through that. Appreciate the sub again. Happy you agree. Let's go get Mark Andrews. Let's lock in that contender. Would I rather have Taylor or Walker rest of season? I mean, both are really good. Both are really good options. They're neck and neck. They're both RB1s. They're both low-end RB1s. I would say it's McCaffrey, Kamara, Eckler, ETN. That's where Breece Hall, and then Saquon, Taylor, Walker, and then Mixon, Bijan. I guess that's and then Derrick Henry. It's close. It's close. I guess. I mean, Taylor's ceding some work to Zach Moss. Walker cedes a little bit of work to Zach Charbonnet. It's I don't mean to cop out the answer here. It's a true coin flip. Taylor, any one week, Taylor's the RB7 and Walker's the RB8. And then the very next week, Walker's the RB7, Taylor's the RB8. As far as projections and expected points, all that stuff, I mean, it's a coin flip. They're both RB1s. They're both low-end RB1s. I've been bullish on Jonathan Taylor this year, so I guess maybe I'll allow my bias to ultimately say I would slightly prefer Taylor, but they're both RB1s rest of season. 1 week, Taylor might be the RB7 and Walker's the RB8. The very next week, maybe Walker's the RB6 and Taylor's the RB7. Coin flip. I think they're both good. They're both in good situations. They're both RB1s rest of season. And I think both are stable. I don't think one is any more or less stable than the other. Walker might be on the better team, but Taylor also doesn't have as many injury concerns, at least right now, compared to Walker. Walker's been on the injury report recently. Taylor is healthy. They're very, very close. They're neck and neck. They're neck and neck. If the trade was 1-for-1, I would be happy with either one. Honestly, I'd maybe just keep the guy that I have. It's if I have Walker and I was offered Taylor, I might just keep Walker. If I have Taylor and I was offered Walker, I might just keep Taylor. They are neck and neck for me. They're my RB7 and 8 rest of season if I had to do projections. Mid to low end RB1s, which is incredibly valuable. As we reach the bottom of the hour, I think I've answered all questions. So if I have any members still in here that had anything that they wanted to talk through, I can take anything last minute. I do got to get my dog out the door. He is begging me for a break, even though I thought I gave him a fair one a couple hours ago, but I guess not. Um, I normally do streams 11 a.m. on Sundays. I'm going to skip that because of the Germany game tomorrow. If anything comes up last minute between now and kickoff, you can hit me in Discord. Second link in the description of this live stream. It is free to join. Members do get access to special member channels. So if you prefer to hop in there, if you are a member, I can get you set up for the exclusive channels as well. But it is free to join, or you can just drop a comment a question in the form of a comment, whether it's on this stream or on any of the videos on this channel. If you've got anything that you want to talk through before the slate tomorrow, I will make sure that I get any other questions, any other stragglers before I shut this down, though. 2 running backs, a receiver, and a flex between these 5 options. I would probably just play the healthy guys. Cooper, Ford, Swift, DJ Moore. I'd probably just play the healthy guys. Puka's on the injury report. If Stafford plays, then I would probably play Puka over DJ Moore. But if Stafford is out, or obviously if Puka is out, then I would play DJ Moore over Puka. But I would play Amari, I would play Ford, and I would play Swift definitively. Ford and Swift are your running backs. Amari is your wide receiver. I would flex Puka if Stafford is healthy. I would flex DJ Moore if Stafford is out. Again, you can join me in Discord if anything comes up between tomorrow and the rest of the Sunday slate. I will be foregoing the 11 a.m. stream tomorrow because of the Germany game. Should be a good one between Chiefs and Dolphins. Or you can hit me with a question in the form of a comment on any video on the stream, or on this channel. But that'll do it for me for the rest of this evening. Appreciate all of the engagement, Steven, for the supers. Very kind of you. Nate, welcome as a member. For anybody else who has discovered me for the first time, hopefully you enjoyed the engagement. Appreciate everybody's patience as I work through all of the questions. Best of luck tomorrow. Again, there are ways to get to me, either in Discord or a comment if you have any last-minute thoughts before the slate kicks off tomorrow. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday night. Let's get these wins for Week 9. Thank you.